Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence of Sound, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you so much, as always, for checking out the series. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I got to tell you, I'm so excited to have Ellie and Joff from Wolf Alice on here that have my favorite album of this moment right now. It's called Blue Weekend. Hi, guys.
Wow, that's a big claim. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. What you all do every single time with this third record is no exception. It's so much fun to be a fan of your band, and I honestly do mean that. And I think it's always the thing. Like when you fall for a band, it's always you're like, what are they going to do next? What are they going to do next? How are they going to do it? As I read from the press release, and I don't know how important of a statement this is, but it does talk about. I'll actually use the line in the press release, reconfiguring who you were together as a band going into this. Was there a specific sense of purpose as you entered the writing sessions for this album?
Oh, you know what? I'm not too sure, other than just a kind of a connection with each other again after such a long period of a connection with each other as writers after such a long period of touring and kind of being on the road. You almost forget that that's part of the job, or at least I do. You know, when you spend 18 months, 2 years promoting a record, you come to an end and then you're like, right, someone says, you got to write a record now. We go, oh yeah, I forgot we have to do that. That's kind of part of the job. So just, getting back into that space and kind of sharing ideas and, being creative again was wonderful. Yeah. I don't know if there was any kind of, I don't really think that there was any kind of big overarching master plan to this record. I think we kind of approached it like many other records and just kind of let's start writing, see what happens.
So that's just the angle of a press release right there, ultimately, is what that is, that line.
Embellishment.
Yeah. I will fall for that. I mean, you all, again, one of the things we love is you all cover so much musical ground. There's rarely a song on these albums that even you fall into the same subgenre of rock within itself. Does it ever get to a point like, so do you ever cast a song aside because it's like, no, we already have, the electronic song, we already have the folk song, or what? Does it ever come to that when you all are writing the songs?
Yeah, I think we definitely keep dynamic in mind. We don't want all the same. We don't want 11 of the same songs, So yeah, that definitely comes into play.
Yeah. Are there alternate versions of any of these songs where they were written one way and you're like, okay, we already have that, let's try it in a different way?
Yeah, I think we had with Safe from Heartbreak and No Hard Feelings, which are two of our more kind of, well, they are the two sparsest songs. We did have full band kind of built up versions of them, and I think when you're playing a rock band or whatever, you often feel like, I don't know, it feels quite exposing to do acousticy kind of songs or whatever, but sometimes that's just the best way the song comes through. And so even though we messed around with full band versions of those songs, eventually we just went back to kind of the bare bones of them.
It's always been interesting to me. Like when I was thinking about your album, I actually considered Bob Dylan and Prince, the way that they would do that. They would write the same song 5 or more different ways, completely different ways. And I was never much of a songwriter myself, played around in the bedroom, and that's as far as I took that. But I don't know. It seems like I'm trying not to get cliche the way songwriters sometimes talk about their songs as their children or sometimes, but you have to make a definitive decision, I guess, at an eventual points in the process. Am I overthinking that, or is that how it is for the like tracks like that you were talking about?
Yeah, I think I think so. Yeah, I mean, eventually it's got to, if you're going to record it, you've got to kind of make a decision on where it's going. I wish I had a more profound answer, but yeah.
We always kind of, it's whatever feels right, and sometimes you don't know what feels right, but it's that kind of feeling where you can't make a decision or whatever, and you toss a coin to just make up your mind, and that's the only way. When it lands on heads, you realize that you wanted tails. Do you know what I mean? It's like that kind of, you just got to be like, okay, this doesn't feel right. And after if you can't make up your mind, you go back to how you first wrote it, because that kind of is often like how it came out authentically. It must mean something, you know. So.
Right. First thought, best thought, or sometimes demoitis, depending on what it's speaking for. Ellie, when I do listen to lyrics on here and everything, or maybe it's what you've said in some interviews leading up to this too, because it does seem like there's a bit about busting up assumptions. Why do small gestures need to mean something bigger? I think you're referencing one of the songs there. Why does the end of a relationship need to be miserable? Was there a sense of that kind of purpose of going in and say, this doesn't always have to mean this?
Maybe subconsciously, I don't really know. I think writing often helps you make sense of things, especially things that are otherwise multifaceted or confusing or whatever. So yeah, they're often posing questions because you're trying to make sense of something, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I guess that what is interesting about this record to me is that it's not so much a struggle, but there is a balance. I mean, you both consider the happy side of existence and the sad side of existence, and I don't get the sense that there needs to be a winner by the end of it.
No, exactly. I think we tend to our writings are very much informed about what's happened in our lives in the kind of years between making records, and that us as human beings experience a whole range of different kind of emotions and things, and just to focus on one of them specifically, I don't know, it'd kind of be maybe a bit boring. I think there's a lot to it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I also think of albums sometimes in a linear fashion. Of course, they're not always meant to be, as you're saying, but do you all ever consider that, though? I mean, in the way you write, to tell a complete story from one end to the other? Like, is that album in you at somewhere down the line?
I think so far we've never let that aim get in the way of the songs themselves. If we've wrote one of our favorite songs, but it totally does not fit with any of the others, we often would put it in anyway, because if it's all of the same time, one, that is the running theme. This was written over this period of time. Two, people, as you say, not everyone consumes albums in a linear way, especially with playlist culture. So if you've got a really good song, it's a shame not to put it out there just because it doesn't fit with the others. But I do have that kind of don't know what it is, that kind of, I like things to flow, and I like it to feel like packaged in one world kind of thing. And I think even though we don't let that get in the way of the songwriting, we do then try and bring that out post writing. That's one of the things that we want a producer to help us with, or the track listing to help us with, or in this case I think the visual side of it was where we drew out that kind of building a world thing, because this wasn't a concept album, but there were bits you could draw out to make it seem kind of conceptual or whatever.
Visually speaking, since you brought that up, I don't know if I read this wrong. I'm kind of hoping I didn't. Is there going to be a video for every song?
There is a video for every song.
So what brought that on? Was it just what Ellie was talking about right there, wanting to kind of represent it visually?
I think so.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I mean, when you get to make music videos, you often only get to make them for your singles, which is sometimes a bit of a shame when you've got visual ideas for some of the other tunes. And we had a bit more time this time around because there was no touring to get in the way of making things and stuff. So it was a nice opportunity to put more time and effort into the visual side of things. And yeah, we had a director on board, Jordan Hemingway, who was up for it, which was cool. Yeah.
So this is just one director, kind of one like unique vision, I guess, which is.
This was 8 days, I think. 11 music videos in 8 days.
Wow, that's some boot camp right there.
Jordan's got some stamina. He really is.
But that is, I mean, there's a chance for the song then to speak for something else, right? I mean, it becomes, I guess, I'm not saying anything that music videos hasn't done for the past 40 years, but I guess, you know, for what you all are looking for, where does this take your songs? Where did you want it to take your songs?
The music videos?
Yes.
Just like maybe kind of reinforce what you were saying, like for people, because we put a lot of thought into like the track listing and, you know, trying to build it sounds wanky, but like a journey from track 1 to track 11. We wanted to emphasize that, make people listen to it in its entirety. Maybe that's kind of makes that more seductive if you've got like these videos that work best in order and stuff.
The mini movie. I want to ask about a few of the songs too. You're talking about, you know, songs that stand out, and of course, I think one of those is "Play the Greatest Hits," which is like laugh out loud funny the first time I heard it, because I don't think I was paying attention to the track list either. I don't think I'd seen the song title, so suddenly you got this going, and you know, this punky thing comes in, and it's raucous, and then the words are there. Does this come from a specific moment? Because there's always that push and pull between a band and like fair weather fans.
Okay.
Well, yeah, people have interpreted this as like our audience saying to us, just play the greatest hits. But it didn't mean that at all. It meant us as people wanting to hear the greatest hits. You know, like it's about going out and, you know, having big, nasty nights out, you know, and wanting to, you know, not, you know, when you go up, like, you know, when you're on the dance floor, sometimes you just want to hear the greatest hits, you know?
Kind of a homage to the less admirable parts of going out.
Yeah. So yeah,
the messier parts.
Yeah. We're yeah. It's funny that people have interpreted it as us being like, oh, everyone just wants to hear the greatest hits. When actually it's like, I want to hear the greatest hit.
I thought that could have fell two different ways though, because, you know, as a band up there, and sometimes knowing that your fans do want to hear a song that maybe you I don't know if you've gotten tired of it or whatever, but some artists do. But then when you show up to the concert, like, you know that context, but that doesn't stop you from wanting to hear, you know, oh, come on, play the single, man, do the thing. Where does the music come from on that one? Anywhere specific? Because again, what a great short blast of great punk rock.
It was so that just started out as a riff. Yeah, it started out as a riff. We'd gone down to Somerset to do a kind of writing retreat at the beginning of the process, and I think kind of towards the end we were kind of we kind of had a semi night out, a kind of failed night out, but in Wolf Alice Starley being, you know, quite a fun and cool night out, really, making the most of a weird situation. And I think we woke up in that kind of giddy, hungover state in the morning and went, let's write a song. Let's just have fun. Let's just write a song about an embellishment of what happened the night before. And it was this kind of 50-second blast of that. And then it finished. And it was just something we worked on. We worked on quite a bit. I think then there was like a 5-minute version. And then I think Ellie did a rewrite to kind of make it less ridiculous. And yeah, it ended up where it is now. And it's, you know, it was a really fun one to do, because it was kind of, the MO was fun.
Yeah. I'd love to hear the full-on ridiculous version of that sometime live, if that opportunity ever falls out there. I want to quickly ask too, or maybe just compliment you. Smile. There is not a single time that song comes on the radio around here at WFPK that I just don't completely stop everything I'm doing. You know, from how you're delivering the vocals to what's going on in the music. I mean, what a perfect rock song that is. And then again, that juxtaposition of something like How Can I Make It? I mean, I'm getting some serious 90s pop vibes off of that one. Where was your head at with that track?
That's one of the oldest ones, so I can't really remember, if I'm being perfectly honest.
One of those that just kind of arrives and comes along. Well,
Yeah,
again, yeah. And Lipstick on the Glass. I mean, again, I'm really just throwing compliments out here of what you're doing vocally out there. And then and Last Man on Earth. I know I'm taking this out of context, but it does. I know I'm taking this out of context. It does seem like a really apt time to be imagining the end of the world. I mean, as I understand, I think this song is quite a bit more about ego as it happens. But has it been interesting to see some of these songs, you know, if they have kind of changed? You know, it changed their trajectory, their life, their meaning once pandemic hit and once we've gone everything of the past year?
Yeah, I guess it's always interesting to see how people interpret things and how they can apply them to, like you say, current situations and stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, it's fascinating, and the beauty of, you know, making your work available for everyone rather than keeping it to yourself. You know, it's just interesting to see what people will take from it.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly enjoying my own interpretations, taking this. Again, I love this record so much. I have to thank you both for doing what you do, and especially thank you for taking the time to talk about it too. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right. Take care to both of you. Once that tour hits over here, I'll be sure to be there, and I can't wait to hear all this live.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care, guys. Bye.
All the best.